5 things I wish I knew before starting an e-commerce business in 2026. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And in this video, we're gonna be going over something that I wish someone told me when I started my journey. As a lot of you guys know, I run an e-commerce portfolio that does around $20 million a year. We have receipts and screenshots of all our success. I'll put it all over the screen and you can obviously look into me and who I am. And this video only serves one purpose, and that is to tell you guys 5 things that I wish I knew before I started. Now, mind you guys, I've been in e-commerce for over 5 years now. I've been through the ups and downs of, creating stores, running pump and dumps, creating brands, selling brands, hiring team members, firing team members. I've been through it all, right? I've spent well over millions and millions on meta traffic, on TikTok, Google. I've had my fair share of experiences, and I still actively run these businesses from a day to day. Now, in this video, we're gonna be talking about 5 things I wish I knew when I first started my e-commerce journey. Now, no matter where you're at in your journey, if you're somebody who's running an e-commerce business doing fairly well, if you're somebody who has just started their own e-commerce business and you're trying to get it off the feet, or you're somebody who's just contemplating, do I start e-commerce now or not? This video is gonna be helpful because I'm gonna try and keep it as broad as possible and try and give you guys advice that can help anybody, right? So without further ado, let us get into it, right? I've wasted years in e-commerce believing in the wrong things. If I could go back in time and tell myself 5 things, it would be these exact things right here. First up on the board is you do not need a winning product. And I know a lot of people that are watching this video right now maybe have a dropshipping background, know me from dropshipping, or overall are dropshippers themselves. And I know there's a very big facade of like you need a winning product in order to make dropshipping work. I'm telling you guys right now, you do not need that winning product. That's not the most important factor. It is an important factor, but it's not gonna be what makes or break your success. Most beginners think I need the winning product and then spend months trying to find it without realizing most of the products they are selling or testing could potentially be that winning product if they had a dialed in offer or had dialed in creative systems or whatever it may be. I always like to say a mediocre product with great marketing will be a great product with bad marketing, right? And I've said it in other videos and I'll say it again, you have winning creatives, you don't have winning products. I can't count the amount of times that in the past I've found myself testing a product not to my best ability with a bad offer, bad creatives, meaning bad ads or whatever it may be, and it didn't work. And then I would go to some e-com event or some sort of networking event, and I would meet somebody who has tested that same product and is either actively scaling it or has scaled it. And I think it comes back to the fact that it doesn't matter what the product is. If you have the right systems in place, you will find success. And these systems can be as simple as, how to do proper AI creatives, which we've talked about in other videos, or how to, set up your offer properly, which we talk about all the time in Brandify, or how to run your media buying properly, which I've talked about in my other guides. You need the right systems, and when you have the right systems, it doesn't really matter what the product is, it will work. Now, there's obviously an extreme to this claim. I'm not telling you guys you can go ahead and start selling something as simple as like toilet paper, right? Like you obviously need like unique products. They need to be like somewhat in the market. You can't just pick something off the shelf. But at the same time, you don't want to go down that route of like, oh, I need to find the best possible non-saturated, perfect product out there, because if you don't have the systems down, even if you have the right product, it won't sell. And that goes back to the main thing is you don't need the perfect product. You really don't. You guys, if you can dial in on having the right creatives or the right offer or the right setup, those things matter way more than what your product is. Personally, from my experience, I make 20 million a year with products that people know about. I make money with products that people have probably seen on their feed. People will look at them and think they're saturated. I actually have a great story of, it was actually the other day where I was on YouTube and I was watching another guru kind of video like this. And I saw a guy talking about like he was talking about e-commerce, dropshipping, because I always like to watch what other people are putting out there. And he was doing like live product research and he literally scrolled over a product that I'm actively scaling. Like he scrolled over it and I think he said like, okay, this one's saturated, we don't want to test this one. And I'm thinking like, dude, I'm making millions a month off this product. Like, there's no way you scrolled over it, right? So it goes back to the mentality of like the perfect product doesn't exist. You have winning creatives and you don't have winning products. And I'll tell you guys this, anyone who's actively scaling a product right now, there's typically 1 or 2 creatives that are eating up all the ad spend that are actively very profitable. And I want you to think about it like this. If you didn't launch those 2 to 3 creatives or that one creative, would you be profitable? Probably not, right? So that creative kind of was more important than the product itself. And that's why, again, going back to my point, you have winning products or you have winning creatives, you don't have winning products. Now, what does this mean? This means you want to stop waiting for perfection, right? You want to test quickly. As long as you have a system in place and you know, okay, I'm testing this amount of creatives per product, this is the type of offers I'm going to be doing. These are the type of products I'm going to be focusing on. And this is how I'm going to set up my landing pages. If you're very methodical about how you're doing things, it does not matter what products you're testing. You just want to make sure you're testing enough quantity, right? So test quickly. Don't waste time. Your first product will not be a winner. Most likely it's not, right? So don't be discouraged, right? Because at the end of the day, it's quantity that really matters. As long as you're putting up numbers on the board, everything's fine. Last but not least, and this kind of builds off the first one, is build a repeatable process, right? Where it is you're, testing, scaling, optimizing this amount of creatives. Like I mentioned before, you want a process, you want a system, something that's repeatable, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't really control if this product is going to work or not, but you can control all the inputs you put behind it. Like, okay, how many creatives are we going to test? What type of offer are we going to test? All those things matter way more than the actual product itself. Next but not least, cash flow will make or break you. Now, this is something a lot of people in the e-commerce world overlook. It's something when I bring people into Brandify and when we're teaching them and helping them build their own e-com brand, it's one of the first things I see most people get wrong. It's something that I've personally corrected with a lot of our students, right? And by the way, if you're interested in joining Brandify, quick little CTA, the link is in bio. We're helping people start their own e-com business every single day. But a big issue that I'm helping people out with when I bring them on is I'm noticing a lot of them don't understand the difference between cash flow and profit. And I'll tell you right now, you can be in profit making money, on the P&L, but if your cash flow isn't dialed in, you're losing money. Like your bank account's going down. And it's a very tricky and weird situation to be in because I've personally been in a situation before where I'm making money, at the same time my bank account's going down and I just don't know what's happening, right? And this is that. So just quickly, profit obviously is what's money left after expenses. So your revenue minus your expenses. Net profit's very simple, everybody knows that. Now what's cash flow? Cash flow is like where are you sitting at the end of every month, right? So the ChatGPT definition of cash flow, I'll tell you guys it. What is cash flow? Because I want you guys to really understand this because I wish someone broke it down to me when I first started. It's just cash in versus cash out. It's timing, right? It is all timing. Cash flow is more so referring to timing than it is to like anything else. So for example, if you're in profit, but you're putting down inventory costs, you're paying upfront for ad spend, and you're paying team members every single month, and Shopify isn't paying you out, like let's say, once a week for your payouts, whatever it may be, you might be in profit, but because your cash flow isn't all positive, it's all negative, you will be losing money every month. You might be, slowly incrementally gaining, but at the end of each month, you look at your P&Ls and you're like, oh shit, I'm losing money. That's because your cash flow is negative. What you guys ought to be doing is making sure that you have positive cash flow tendencies in your business, right? So for example, don't get inventory, drop ship off the bat. I know a lot of people watching this think dropshipping is a scam and they see dropshipping as a separate business. Dude, dropshipping is just a part of e-commerce. And any smart operator will start their e-commerce journey with dropshipping, and eventually when the product starts to do well, the market's validated, they'll buy inventory and actually create a real brand around it. But to buy inventory off the bat, unless it's mandatory, which most of the time it is not, don't do it, right? If you have a unique e-commerce idea for, let's say, a coffee mug that has solar powered rims to it that help heat up the coffee, it's a very extreme example. But if you have an idea for something like that, most of the time you can drop ship it, right? And I know that's like a lot of people think it's not possible. You can find a product that's very similar to what you're selling. You can drop ship it, and once it starts to do really well, then you can put down inventory to buy something that's very similar, or if not the same thing to it. But off the bat, most of the time you can drop ship. And a lot of people overlook this, but it's a truth that most people forget. There's a really core issue with e-commerce in general, which is a negative cash flow tendency. And that is you're paying for ads before you get to sales, payment processors hold funds, and returns and chargebacks eat into cash. And these things are a part of any e-commerce business. Whatever you're scaling, whatever you're starting out. Payment processors will hold funds. You will have delays in payouts, very normal. You have to pay for ads right away. And on top of that, at the end of the month, you do have refunds and chargebacks that eat out of your profit. So at the end of the day, you do need a cash buffer to help you scale. So you will run into cash flow problems. It's very common, right? So for all our e-commerce businesses, before we pay out partners, including myself, we always have something we call a reserve, right? So if we make, let's say 100K in profit, we'll put like 50K into a reserve, meaning that 50K is not being touched at all. You're not dipping into it. And the rest is, what you can eat out of for your own, profitability and whatnot. It's a small thing, which I know is very annoying. A lot of beginners hate that. They hate the idea of having reserve. But if you want to take this game seriously and you do not want to be, messed up, because I've seen it time and time again, people will be put in a really bad situation because they're trying to scale and they just get messed up because they get hit with a reserve and then their cash flow gets tight. And then on top of that as well, like their supplier gives them worse terms and ad accounts they have to pay up front, they get refunds, and all these things kind of stack up. And because they didn't, have a reserve or they didn't leave money in the bank, they found themselves literally on the verge of bankruptcy or, losing everything and not being able to scale. So having a reserve literally solves 99% of these problems. Now, more specifically, what are things that you can set up that are positive cash flow tendencies in your e-commerce business? The first one is using good credit. It helps is if you're wiring in Meta directly or you're using Wire at all for your ad spend or using Wire at all, use credit cards when you're running ads, because obviously you're paying Meta, you're paying TikTok, you're paying these platforms. It's very important to have really good credit cards and credit limits because you don't have to pay up front, and just that delay really helps out. Another thing that really helps is if you're wiring in Meta directly or you're using Wire at all for your ad spend or using Wire at all for your COGS. If you're using Wire at all for your COGS, you can use a software called Plastique. I'll plug it in somewhere on the screen. It's like plastic, but with a Q. They allow you to make wires through credit cards. So you can wire your supplier through your Amex and you can pay with your Amex rather than having to spend money straight from your bank account. So this again gives you another delayed payout. You can always negotiate payment terms with your supplier, where if you're doing good volume and consistent volume, your supplier will give you better terms if you ask for like net 30-day, net 60-day, net 90-day. They'll give you better terms on your supply chain. Those are just a couple small things. Another one is if you have Shopify payments and you're doing well, I would always recommend you guys get Shopify Plus as fast as possible, because when you have Shopify Plus, you get a dedicated account rep where you can go ahead and negotiate with Shopify and be like, hey, I'm a Shopify Plus member, give me better terms. Like I want 2-day payouts and whatever it may be, they'll give it to you. So these small little things do add up. And as long as you have a couple of them in your business, you'll find yourself making more money because you have better cash flow and better timing, and you overall just run the business better. And again, these are a little bit more high level stuff, but it's something that a lot of people neglect. Number 3 on the board, your brand matters more than ever. What has changed in 2026? And again, I'm seeing this on a day-to-day running our own e-com brands. Customers are much more skeptical than they were 5 years ago. Everyone sees scammy dropshipping stores, they're all over the place. And generic stores convert 50 to 70% worse than branded stores, right? And that's why everything we preach on this YouTube channel, everything we preach inside of Brandify, everything that we talk about in any of our communities is very much centered around what we see on a day-to-day. And a big part of that right now is customers can tell what dropshipping is. Like years ago, customers wouldn't stumble across a store and be like, oh shit, this is a dropshipping store. Nowadays, like it's very easy for them to tell because they're really used to it. It's been in the market for a while. People are getting smarter than ever. You need to be unique, right? And that's where your brand comes into play. I found it way easier to sell products over the years where there was a clear brand identity and a clear ICP, being a customer profile, that we were selling to. Our branded stores have monumentally higher conversion rates. Our non-branded stores had way lower returning customer rates. We found it way easier to scale up branded stores, especially if we clearly identified who we were selling to. And ideally, this is the best one. If you are selling to a market and you can have a higher perceived value, meaning you can charge more for whatever you're selling and people would buy it. A really good example of this is right now, what's trending is like these GLP, like weight loss, slimming teas and whatnot. You can see them all over the place. There's one brand called like Yerba Mate Magic. I've talked about them on other stores. I'm gonna give you guys a really good example of this where they're selling to women. A lot of women are buying their product, but a good idea of like a brand, because the best way to create a brand, and this is a brand masterclass one-on-one, is you ideally want to figure out who you're selling to and create a brand that specific person would like, right? So if you're selling to men, right, in this example, you would have like a very be a better man, alpha male kind of vibe of a store. There would be no pink branding. It would be like very white and minimalistic. That's something that personally a guy would like better. right? Whereas like if you're selling to women, you know, a little bit of pink branding will be a little bit of like, you know, be pretty, be you, like kind of that kind of vibe, right? When you're selling to men, right, let's take this Yerba Mate example, this GLP tea, whatever. You would go ahead and you would rebrand the whole website to be like for men, and AI can do this for you. And like if you guys need specifics, we talk about it inside of Brandify, how to use AI to do all the specific stuff. So be sure to hop in there so we can work one-on-one. But when it comes down to like building out the store, you would have like this type of branding where it's like men focused branding. It would be neutral colors. You would then position the product to be like slimming tea for men, the best men's slimming tea on the market, you know, for busy working dads that need to get rid of that beer belly. You'll have that type of branding, right? And just by doing that, you know, you're selling to your ICP, the men will buy that way more. And just by isolating who you're selling to, you've now created a brand. And I tell people, you don't need, you know, like a Harvard degree on branding. You just need to know who you're selling to and create a store and position that you think that person would like. And that's why you can kind of mold whatever product you're selling to who you're selling it to, and that gap is your brand, right? You're selling coffee to busy moms, you're gonna be focused on like stuff like, you know, you're taking your, after you drop your kids off at school, you have that, you know, afternoon crash, how to get through it so you can make your Pilates class at night. Like you really have to speak to your ICP, and that all comes down to like what you position your brand as, right? And, you know, just by, you know, putting a little bit more effort into your store, into your brand, you're gonna be making a lot more money because your conversion rate's gonna go up, your ad costs are gonna go down because you're speaking to a customer basis that actually wants to buy. And overall, you're gonna find it a lot easier to build a brand and ascend, because at the end of the day, that those people are gonna keep buying, right? For that specific problem you're solving. So you really do want to focus on your brand. And this is why branded is the route to go. Generic stores, general stores, you know, throwing up a bunch of products, not knowing what to do, that's not what you want to do. You guys need to focus on a brand, and you do that by working backwards on who you want to sell to. And I mean, that's why, I mean, I can speak from experience and from what we're currently doing. We would not be able to do 20 million a year if it wasn't for us building brands. Like our brands is what makes us the money, right? And same with all the students inside of Brandify. We will slap you in the face if you have a generic store. That is not what we do, right? We build brands, and that's how we make money. Number 4, be unique or else you'll never win, right? Being unique instead of being just another copy. At the end of the day, right, you guys do not want to reinvent the wheel. I totally get that. But at the same time, if you're doing the exact same thing as everyone else, how are you gonna win? You have to differentiate on certain different sectors of the business. And just by knowing what things to change up, it makes your life a lot easier, right? When I'm testing a product, I'm able to look into the market and see what other people are doing wrong and what I can do right, just because I have so much experience. And from there, tweak those particular things. And now when I test that product, I will do monumentally better than someone who just picked it off the, you know, first sheet of some product research tool, right? Most people find a winning product someone else is selling. They copy the exact same ad angle and basically same everything. They wonder why they can't compete. And then if it's working, then and they have the mentality, if it's working for them, why wouldn't it work for me? Without realizing that's not how this game works. Every niche is saturated with the identical stores. Customers have literally seen the same product, the same ad a million times. You're literally copying on everything, including the price, which is so stupid. And you'll always lose if you don't have a bigger ad budget than these people. It doesn't really work, right? So the easiest way to be different in this situation is, there's only 2 ways to be different in this aspect, right? The first one is either be different in offer and price. The second one is either be different in your creatives, right? Starting with your offer and price, ideally you can either undercut or overcut the market. There's actually 2 ways of going about it. And this is both 2 things that we've talked about in other walkthrough videos. You could undercut by selling cheaper and marketing it as like we're the most discounted and cheapest option in the market. I highly recommend if you do this, you have some sort of subscribe and save option, so you know you'll be stacking subscribers. 2, you can overcut or over auction, whatever you want to call it. You price it higher, so you have more room to scale, right? Because you can afford a higher price per customer. That's the second one. Or you just have a better offer, like they're doing like buy 1, buy 2, buy 3. You can do buy 1 and buy 2 get 1 free, buy 3 get 2 free, simple stuff like that. You just have an offer that's more appealing to the customer, or you offer free products, right? On the creative side, this is where I'm more involved, and this is where I like to talk to you guys more about, because I see it's more impactful. Get better creatives, right? And I'm not gonna use this video to go over creatives, because all you guys know, like I'm big on creatives, and anyone who's watched any of my content Anybody who's been in any of our programs, you guys know creatives are everything. Creatives are huge, and you can always beat people on creatives, right? So with that being said, like creatives, like that's where most of the money is made with e-com. So, you know, better creatives, more aggressive creatives, just to give you guys a little bit of a one-on-one, so, you know, you can take something with you. The more aggressive your creatives, the better. And the idea that like, oh, you can't make claims and all this, you can't. I'm telling you right now. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Like that, it doesn't really matter. You can make claims. So the more aggressive your hooks are, the more aggressive your creatives are, the more aggressive your statics are, the better. So you can simply just enter a market and beat someone else out just because you have more aggressive creatives. And that's like a really low hanging fruit a lot of people don't look at. So that's a huge, huge thing, right? But you can beat people on their offer and your creatives, and you'll ideally win, right? Last but not least, you can beat people on the customer experience. And this is more of a broader thing. I know a lot of my like drop shipping mentality kind of people won't share the same mentality, but I can tell you guys right now, there's no way for your results to mog on other people if you don't have a better product, right? Like you will always be in the game of finding ads and, you know, making a little bit of money here and there if you do not figure out how to make a better product, right? So getting a new customer costs 3 to 5 times more than just getting an existing one to just buy again. 20% of customers usually generate 80% of revenue in most traditional businesses. And you want to make sure your customer service is on top of it, right? And you can do small things like set up subscriptions, right? Set up subscription funnels where it's like, you know, buy more and save, or subscribe and save and stuff like that. You're gonna have better customer service and have SOPs that encourage your customer service reps to upsell and actually have people buy more. You can run bottom of funnel ads that retarget customers that have already bought with like new products that you think they might like. You can even drop ship these new products as well. Those are just 3 small things that I started doing in 2025 that kept us being more consistent and overall more profitable, right? Because if these mechanisms of getting existing customers to buy more, which by the way, you know, if you're running ads to existing customers, your ROAS is gonna be like fucking 4 or 5. Your email campaigns are gonna convert like crack. Like selling to the same people is way easier because they already trust you and they know that you're not gonna scam them. And you can, you know, liquidate way more from these people. You could genuinely, some months last year, it was the break of profitability versus unprofitability was just our ability to sell to people that have already bought. So I think that's something a lot of people overlook. And I think it's like if you're already building and running a brand, you can easily just incorporate these small little things that I just mentioned to recoup a lot of your losses on ads, right? Because if you spend, my thing is if you're spending $1 to acquire a customer, or you spend $1 on ads to bring in a customer, hypothetically, that $1 you're never gonna get back. So you might as well milk the fuck out of the customer because you already paid for them to be in your funnel, right? So you should set up these little things in the back end to make as much money as possible so you end up maximizing how much money you make. I think that's being a good entrepreneur, right? And there's a lot of other things that you guys can do to get customers to come back. Those are just some of the most impactful ones that I've seen. And overall, guys, right? These are just some of the things that I'm mentioning that you should be doing in your e-commerce business, and things that I wish I knew in my e-commerce business. But to be extremely honest with you guys, there are so many other things that go behind running a portfolio. There are so many other things that go behind running a real e-commerce business. And if you don't have someone who's there helping you, holding your hand, it can get hard, right? Because at the end of the day, I've coached and taught many, many students, and I can tell you there's a lot of the same reoccurring issues that you guys fall into that can easily just be avoided if someone told you to avoid them. And that's why we created Brandify, right? A lot of you guys already know this, I'll say it again. Brandify is literally the best e-commerce program out there. We have, I think in student revenue right now, we're doing well over $500,000 a day in student revenue. Like we're literally doing 9 figures a year in student revenue sales. Like it's fucking insane, bro. You gotta get a piece of that pie, right? So if you guys want, you know, coaches, you want one-on-one help, you want, you know, the ability to actually see my brands and see brands of other people that are doing well, join Brandify. I never will tell you guys it's the only way to make money, but you guys have the funds. I truly believe this community is the best out there. I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and we have people absolutely killing it, like Patrick, Lauren, Adrian, with so many people in there that like are absolutely killing it. So if you want to book a call and find out more, the link is in bio. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these type of videos, let me know. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.